Welcome to Voices of Black Business Women. Welcome to Voices of Black Business Women 2024 Election Town Hall, hosted by NewsOne.com. I am Bobby Penn, and today we're joined by exceptional Black women entrepreneurs representing diverse industries across key swing states. We are joined with Dr. Sonia Lewis from Pennsylvania. She's the founder of the Student Loan Doctor LLC, specializing in finance. We have attorney Jamie McClelden from Wisconsin, who leads an independent law practice. We have Quenisha Johnson from Pennsylvania of BTG Counseling and Educational Services. Dr. Lene Javette from Arizona, a business coach and monetization strategist with Upscale Noir Media. Stephanie Alston from North Carolina, who leads Black Girl Group recruiting agency in the HR space. And we have Leanne Dolce from Georgia, who's a wellness advocate and founder of Wake Up Happy Sis. Thank all of you ladies for joining us. As the 2024 election nears and early voting has already started in many states, we'll explore how the platforms of Donald Trump and Kamala Harris could shape the business landscape, particularly for Black-owned enterprises. Our goal is to cut through the noise and dive deep into the real issues that affect businesses, the economy, and our communities. Let's get started. I'll bring to the stage Dr. Javette and I think we're missing someone. So Dr. Javette, I'll start the question with you.
Okay.
The economic recovery post-pandemic has seen sharp increases in cost from groceries to housing, which many consumers attribute to businesses exploiting market conditions. According to an NBC SurveyMonkey poll, over 60% of Americans believe corporations are taking advantage of inflation to raise prices. With small businesses historically being pillars in the Black community, there's an opportunity to restore trust. As someone who helps Black entrepreneurs build their brands and revenue, what strategies can you share for how Black-owned businesses can bridge this trust gap?
Oh, that's a great question. There's a lot of opportunity right now. One of the things that we see often in the Black community, or we hear anyways, is that our prices are too high. But everybody's prices are high right now. So we can literally come in here and show what our products are, what we have to offer, and we can compete and become more competitive right now. There's a lot of opportunity for Black entrepreneurs because you're in the community. People can get at your product quicker, sooner, faster. People are looking for ways to be more entrepreneurial and do more things in the community. So this is a great time for Black business owners and Black people to partner and keep our money in our communities and keep our dollars cycling in our community. So that's what I would say. Although the election is going on and these things are happening at that high level, we are still in our communities. We have cousins and friends and ourselves who are doing business, and we should be doing business laterally, right? With the people that we know, with the people that are in our community, so that we can keep those dollars circling in our community.
I love that. And Ms. Quenisha Johnson, did you want to add? I think you're on mute.
I apologize for that. I totally agree with that. It's about circulating the dollar amongst each other. And additionally, we over-index as a community in resources. We over-index in cleaning products and so many things. So the research says that like when we get our hands on it, right, we have so much buying power. So it's so important that we're able to circulate that money in our community, promote the resources amongst each other, share those things. And as Dr. Javette said, it's expensive for everyone, but we have to think about even how we're pricing as businesses, value-based pricing, right? There's a value to what we're offering. And so we have to promote through our conversations, our connections, through the discourse that goes on in our nation, that our services, our businesses are powerful.
I love that. Owning our powership. And I like what Dr. Javette added to network laterally. I think those are both very important points. So thank you. All right. Next question. Donald Trump continues to criticize the current administration's handling of the economy, claiming that under the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. is facing one of its worst economic downturns. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Labor Statistics recently reported a decline in unemployment rate, steady wage growth, and over 200,000 jobs added in September 2024, suggesting economic resilience. So, Dr. Lewis, with your experience in finance, have you seen your clients' financial situations improve under the Biden-Harris administration compared to Trump's term?
And Bobby, do me a favor. When out, can you repeat the question?
No problem. Donald Trump continues to criticize the current administration's handling of the economy, claiming that under the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. is facing one of its worst economic downturns. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Labor Statistics recently reported a decline in the unemployment rate, steady wage growth, and over 200,000 jobs have been added in September 2024, suggesting economic resilience. So with your experience in finance, how have you seen your clients' financial situations improve under the Biden-Harris administration compared to Trump's term?
Thank you for repeating the question. So a variety of ways, and it's telling because during the Biden administration, one of the things that we've significantly seen is that student loan debt be forgiven and decreased. And so this allows, particularly for the African-American community to have, and when I say African-American community, we've seen a significant drop in student loan debt there. I'm excited about that because I tell you, when you talk about spending, when you talk about home buying, when you talk about investing, these things sometimes are stifled by student loans. And being that billions of dollars have been forgiven through the Biden administration, these things are now possible. So when we hear things like that people are not able to buy or able to do, statistically, if we look at the data of the debt that has now been eliminated, that would be incorrect. And so when we talk to the clients that we have now, we're talking about how can we best position them to take advantage of the things that are still opportunities and that are still present, opportunities that are present. And I'll lead you with this. I'm excited to see what happens in the next few weeks because the Biden administration has promised and has put into place more to come to alleviate more debt. We know that statistically, when particularly African-American women are forgiven of their student loan debt, they are looking to become home buyers and investors. And so I actually think we're going to see a really nice upturn in home ownership pretty soon because of this.
That's so exciting. As someone renting right now, the access to my own home would just be a dream come true. And I'm sure millions of Americans feel the same way.
Yes, 2025 is going to be good. Yes.
Yes. I invite Stephanie Alston to the stage now to answer this question as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us tonight, Bobby. So I want to address the declining unemployment number because I think it's important for us to note that we do have flaws in our reporting data system right now. And so oftentimes when we see these unemployment numbers that are being low, we have to also remember that people are also falling off of unemployment and still don't have jobs, especially those who are Black and brown. And so oftentimes we'll celebrate that the number is going down, but once you get off of unemployment, there is no way for the U.S. government to continue to track those individuals who are either unemployed or underemployed once their 4 to 6 weeks of unemployment comes to an end. I think we also have to address that the jobs added number could also be flawed because what we're starting to see in the job economy right now is an increase in what we like to call ghost jobs, which are jobs that companies are posting that don't really exist. Many companies are doing this because it becomes a false indicator of growth for their companies, especially during economic downturn. So if you want to look like you're growing as a company, what do? You post open jobs, but those jobs don't exist. People apply for them, and then they get added to the jobs report saying that new jobs have been added, but those jobs remain vacant because they were never meant to be filled anyway. They were supposed to be false indicators to make companies look like they're experiencing growth. So I think before we can really begin to celebrate under any administration, right, that jobs are being added and that unemployment has dropped, we really have to make sure that we're addressing the flawed data in the system and actually going on the ground and talking to individuals and identifying who's really employed, who's really hiring, and what can we do to fix this flawed system right now.
Amazing points. I've been watching a lot of social media content about these ghost jobs and how tough the economy is and the job market is for college educated and trade workers as well. So I think you brought up very valid points. So thank you both for that. Dr. Javette, I want to also invite you to the stage as the next question is for you as well.
All right.
Okay. Switch it up. All right. Vice President Kamala Harris has proposed a small business tax credit plan as part of her campaign platform, aiming for 25 million new small business applications. Meanwhile, Trump's proposed tax cuts could add $7.5 trillion to the national debt over 10 years, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budgets. Dr. Javette, with your focus on helping service-based businesses grow, do you believe a $50,000 tax credit would significantly impact your clients' ability to scale?
I do, because we all know that one of the major things that we have going on in our community is lack of access to capital. So if we can receive a $50,000 tax credit, that's funds and money that we can put into our business. If we can't go into the bank and get money, then we should be able to take the money that's coming into our business and reinvest it in our business and receive a tax credit. So it's not writing a $50,000 check to these businesses, but it is giving them $50,000 of their revenue to reinvest into their business. That's advertising, that's R&D, that's product development, that's investing in conferences and the things that they can't normally do. Inventory, these are things that businesses need. When we talk about the stereotypes in Black businesses, a lot of it is around not having access to capital to invest in our company so that we can hire employees, so that we can get coaches, so that we can go to conferences. And we don't have the same business acumen as everyone else all the time, or rather access to the business acumen that everybody else does. So I do think that taking the time to invest in 25 million businesses by way of a tax credit would be super beneficial. I think you might be on mute, Bobby.
I definitely was. Thank you. And Ms. Alston, as someone who works in HR, how do you think this tax credit could affect Black women entrepreneurs' capacity to hire and grow their teams?
I think it will actually present a unique opportunity for us to be able to hire in ways that we probably have never been able to hire before. I mean, in this world as a whole, as Black women, we have to work, twice as hard? I'll say even 3 times as hard to get half as far, right? And so to be able to utilize this tax credit to help us hire, I think it will be extremely beneficial, especially to Black women-owned businesses. I think right now, one of the biggest pain points for many Black business owners is like I'm missing your name, Dr. Javette mentioned earlier, is that oftentimes we don't have that same access to great resources, right? And so we're not able to do the implementation in the way that we would like to as business owners at the scale that we would like to. And so I think that in addition to that increased tax credit, I definitely think that we also need to have more opportunities for grants. One thing that we've seen between both administrations over the last several years is that oftentimes grants are given to small businesses, but that money is not directly put into our hands. They're put into accelerators. They're put into other programs that are created by large corporations. And while these programs are great, they don't actually put money into our pockets as small business owners. And so I think that we need to make sure that going into this new administration, whoever it is who wins, that we make sure we hold them accountable and we make sure that we actually do get the funding that we've been promised in order to move forward and scale in the way that we hope to.
Amazing response, and definitely exciting times ahead, hopefully, depending on who ends up in office. So next, I would like to invite Attorney Jamie McClendon to the stage. All right, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. Hi, Bobby.
Yes, hi. All right, so Trump's immigration rhetoric particularly focuses on job displacement among Black Americans. And he contrasts these reports with sustained job growth and an increase in job openings under the Biden administration. The narrative around job competition remains divisive. So Attorney Jamie, how have you seen immigration policy affect job ability and legal considerations for Black-owned businesses?
Well, I think what Trump is doing is playing into pinning brown versus black, which is a really kind of old-fashioned way. People have been doing that for a long time, because I think if we work together, there's more of a fear of everyone kind of joining together. Realistically, I don't think that competition is there. I think that there is plenty of room for everyone to work and have their own businesses and to be supported by the community. And I think that is something that Kamala and her administration is really focusing on, is making sure that everyone has the same and equal opportunities to either start their own business or find employment. And so I think that their message, again, is that we can lift up everyone. We don't have to push someone else down to be able to get ahead, is the more positive and forward-looking message. Well, obviously the Trump campaign wants to focus on fear. So within my community, I live in Wisconsin. I'm not exactly a rural person, but I live close to a lot of rural areas. I see all types of people working out there, and I don't think that there is a shortage of jobs. I think that it is something, again, that is used to be divisive as opposed to being factual and what everyday people are actually experiencing. I think it's mute.
Keep forgetting to turn the mute off. I was saying absolutely, and thank you for shedding light to that. There's no time for divisiveness, especially not as crucial as this election is. So thank you. All right. Next, I am going to invite Ms. Kanisha Johnson and Dr. Lewis to the stage. All right. Kamala Harris recently announced a plan that includes forgivable $20,000 loans for Black entrepreneurs, investments in mentorship programs, and educational opportunities tailored toward Black men. This is part of her broader effort to address disparities in access to capital. So, Ms. Kanisha, as an educator and counselor, how can programs like these reshape opportunities for Black men and influence economic outcomes for Black families?
Hi, again, it is us talking about the access and providing the access to the resources that the playing field has not been leveled, right? We have a disparity even with, we know that Black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs, but yet receive the smallest amount of capital, right? And so now we see so many instances where after affirmative action was overturned, we see these lawsuit companies filing lawsuits against companies trying to create more resources, access grants, money for Black women, for women. And so having an opportunity to receive that access is going to be so powerful. We have to understand also, as a therapist in Pennsylvania, how money induces so much stress for people, for business owners, for people trying to buy groceries. We talked about student loans. And so financial stress is a big thing. So if nothing else, when I think of my perspective as a therapist, if there is access to resources, to money that is going to help and serve and remove or alleviate some of those financial stressors, that in itself foundationally is a plus. That's a plus in itself. And when we talk about the resources, the education, the ability to be able to hire, that $20,000 can go a very, very long way. You're still on mute.
On mute.
And Dr. Lewis, how do you see these policies addressing the broader wealth gap and access to financial resources for the Black community?
I think it's really exciting, this initiative, because similar to what our other panelists had just shared, it's one, inspiring hope in the community. And I think that hope has been missing for a really long time. And when we talk about people that want to just take a step of faith and really bet on themselves, well, to be very honest, you need some money to do that. And so when I heard it, I said, all right, now we're talking about something, because there are a lot of dreams and a lot of visions that go unfulfilled because there are no resources to fuel those dreams or those visions. And I think that what we're going to see is that people are going to start taking chances and betting on themselves. I think we're going to see a shift in the economy because you and again, I'm just thinking about my own self. I did not have 20,000 when I started my business, which is doing really well now. But if I had 20,000, how much further could we have been? And so it does help. It's not the end all be all of leveling the playing field, but it does help get people in the game. So I'm really, really excited for the bigger picture, the broader picture, to see how this impacts the African American household with this initiative.
Awesome. Yes, I'm excited as well. All right. So I'm going to bring all of you ladies up, I think. Oh, wait, I know what to do. All right. So this is our final question. This is called a round robin question. And I would like for each of you to answer in the order that you're on screen. Okay. As we look toward Election Day, what is your message to other Black business owners watching this political landscape unfold? What should they be considering as they decide how to cast their vote, especially when weighing the economic proposals from Trump and Harris?
Well, I can start. So I am wildly interested as to what happens with this election. I've been in business now going on 10 years, and I've seen what it looks like to have an administration be supportive. And I'll live in my lane, student loans. And I've seen an administration not be supportive of those with student loans. And so I am interested because there are people that literally are in the balance or this close to having financial freedom from their student loans depending on how this election goes. And so I know that if Trump is elected, I know what to expect because we were in business when that happened before. A lot of things are going to be reversed, a lot of changes are going to happen, and it's going to put some people back and put them financially in a bind with their student loans. If Vice President Kamala becomes President, Kamala Harris, we're hoping that she continues the work that she's been doing with the Biden administration. No guarantee there. I'll be very transparent and also say one of the things that I was unsure about when they had the debate was where she really stood at on the issue of student loan debt. That didn't really get discussed. But the good news is what we're seeing through Secretary Cardona is that the conversation of forgiveness should still happen. I say all that to say, as an entrepreneur, or someone even wanting to become an entrepreneur as well, the thing that holds a lot of people back that they don't talk about until they sometimes arrive at our doorstep are student loans. So I'm wildly interested on a personal note, a professional note, as to what's going to happen, because then we here know how to help our tribe navigate and pivot either way.
I guess I'm up next. So I think I'll continue with the dialogue around the Black men, the opportunity agenda, because I specifically work with Black entrepreneurs. And a lot of times, I think somebody brought it up, we're talking about grants. There's a lot of Black women grants. There's a lot of Black women scholarships. There's a lot of Black women money. The Black women are starting businesses faster than everybody. We're in the news every other day. And Black men are being left behind in a lot of these business conversations and a lot of these business rooms, access to grants and things of that nature. We throw a lot of money at Black women and their education. And I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you. Keep throwing the money to me. But we also need to make sure that the Black men are seeing some of these same successes. And there's not a lot of that. And if we go back historically with regards to conversations, never before have we had these types of conversations about the success of Black men in entrepreneurship. And so I love that she's on this tour, the opportunity agenda for Black men, and she's talking about the forgivable loans, creating apprenticeships, access to shaping the cannabis industry, which is a major billion, probably $1 trillion industry that we are not sitting at the table. So the fact that she's having these conversations and presenting ways for Black men to elevate financially, to elevate in their business, to get a piece of the pie and the success that Black women are seeing, I think that speaks volumes, and that's what I'm excited to see. And so I would love to see how Vice President Kamala Harris, who we hope becomes President Kamala Harris, continues to help us see Black men elevate in entrepreneurship.
Thank you, ladies. Attorney McClendon.
I guess I'm next on that. So what I'm excited about with this, hopefully this administration with Kamala Harris, is that I do think that she understands working class obviously a lot better than Trump, who had to have a show at a McDonald's just to prove that he could, for a few minutes, work in a closed McDonald's. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And so when I think about, and we've all kind of mentioned it in passing, when I think about her experience and her qualifications, what she had to do to get to where she is, where she was a prosecutor, where she was the attorney general for the largest state in the union, to have her still have to be questioned as to whether or not she's ready, whether or not she has the qualifications. She was also a senator. I think she was on the Intelligence Committee. To have that still happen to her, and she's now currently the vice president, and we've all had to experience that to even get to where we are today. I think that's what's giving me hope. And I do agree that I think there is a focus on Black women. I do think that Black men fall behind, but I still think that Black women have this kind of extra hurdle to always prove that we are experienced and that we belong in that room. So that's what I'm excited about with her administration. But I also know how much her administration wants to focus on the working class people. It is absolutely crazy that probably all of us on the screen pay more in federal taxes than a former president of the United States. And the final thing that I would say that is really important about Kamala winning this election is the Affordable Care Act. I would not have been able to start my own practice and work for myself if that was not available. I would have had to rely on an employer because I would not have been able to afford it. And I have a pre-existing condition, and so they could have rejected me. So those are all things that are really important to be able to continue to work for myself. Thank you.
All great points. Ms. Austin?
So I think we all in this room have a preference on who we would like to see win. However, we also live in America and we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what people do once they get behind the booth. And so I think as small business owners, we have to be very mindful that whether it's red or blue, money is still green. And we have to be very intentional, no matter what, that we continue to secure a seat at the table for one another, because we can't afford to stop fighting no matter who gets into the office. Because at the end of the day, when one of us wins, we all win.
Short and sweet. And last but not least, Ms. Kanisha Johnson.
I think the approach needs to be also going to the polls informed as much as possible, right? Even as business owners, whoever's voting, to go informed. We are inundated with media and information that we get it in sound bites. So even as an entrepreneur, what we need to look at is, why did you start your business? Your why for your business. I know for me, if we talk personally, I think about access, opportunity, flexibility, legacy for my children. And so when I'm approaching this election, I want others to look at it from the same standpoint. What is your why? Be informed about your why and be informed about what's going on. Just like Stephanie shared, we have to think about it from the standpoint of, if we also are informed and we understand civics, these are politicians. We have to understand how politics goes. There are some limitations to being the president. We know what Congress, we should know what Congress does. They are they are the people, as Kamala Harris, I've heard her state lately, they're the people with the checkbooks. So go informed as much as possible about your why and the information you're receiving, and line things up and make it make sense. And if you are thinking about legacy, whether it's you have loans and you want to get rid of your loans and you want help and you don't want to have your children get into predatory loan situations because they're going to college, just go informed as a voter and think about what your interests are. And we have to look at it from that standpoint. And so I implore all of us to look at it from that perspective whenever we're going to the polls. Go with information, not with sound bites. That's going to help us pick the person that we think is best, but know that there are limitations because we have a system of checks and balances, and we see how that plays out right now. The president cannot do everything. Do not go to the polls believing that your president will be here to solve all of your problems. We have to also be self-advocates and support one another. We talked about circulating that dollar, what that looks like, creating access for one another, and continuing these conversations. And when someone shares false information about a candidate, or there's some statistics that are faulty and they're not right, interrupt it with the truth.
I love that. Go to the polls with facts and not sound bites. Ladies, thank you again so much for your time and your expertise. I wish you all well and happy voting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.